Good morning, afternoon, and evening, Young Baden-Powell Fellows from around the world. My name is Alex Kilby. I'm a Young Baden-Powell Fellow from Canada and a member of our Young Baden-Powell Fellows Task Force. I'm really happy to see all of you here today to join us for our second online speaker series event. Leading today's discussion is fellow task force member Christy Jackelman from Mexico. Christy is a financial analyst at Goldman Sachs, joined the Young BP Fellows in 2018 at the Mexico City event, and has been a crucial part of the efforts to develop more opportunities for you to engage with each other and with the foundation. Throughout today's discussion, as you listen closely to what our distinguished guest has to share, I'd like to encourage you to make some notes and think about any questions you could ask. We'll have an opportunity towards the latter part of the hour to open up for your questions. If it helps, feel free to post those questions into the chat in advance, and we'll know who to turn to when the time comes. Now, without any further delay, and to introduce today's guest, over to you, Christy.
Thank you, Alex, and welcome everyone to the Young BP Fellow Speaker Series. And welcome back to those who joined us for the first event with Lars Colland and John Gagan a few months ago. This is now the second event of our series of international online discussions amongst Young Baden-Powell Fellows and members of our wider foundation network. These conversations are all a part of a new suite of opportunities available for Young BP Fellows to become more engaged with the foundation. You can hear more about other programs at the end of our meeting today. Today, we have the great honor of being joined by His Royal Highness, the Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume of Luxembourg. His Royal Highness is the heir apparent to the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, member of the board of the World Scout Foundation, and has been a scout himself since the age of 8. Prince Guillaume has developed a broad range of personal and professional interests and expertise, including economics, philosophy, history, and music. His role as Hereditary Grand Duke is a significant lifelong commitment of service to his nation, and today we are fortunate to have a chance to talk about these things directly with him. We hope that what we talk about today here will inspire each of us to lift ourselves and others up to a higher level of personal, professional, social, spiritual, and global development. Your Royal Highness, thank you very much for joining us online today.
It's a great honor and pleasure. Thank you.
How are you? And where are you joining us from right now?
So right now I'm joining from sunny Luxembourg.
That's nice. You were commenting about the weather earlier, that it's a very beautiful day in Luxembourg today.
It is indeed.
So in the discussion today, we will be revolving around 3 overarching topics related to service, which are duty to self, to one's country, and to the world. Can you please share with us some ideas of what service means to you?
So service is definitely one of the core values, if not the core value of Scouting. And as grandson of a very, very big and famous Scout, I have to say that service has always had a very important place in my life, in my upbringing. And I think service is, it's a state of mind. It's being ready to be there where one is needed to fulfill one's duty towards the country, towards the job, towards the family. It's something that is very big, and at the same time, it's, I think, what makes us the human beings that we are.
You mentioned your upbringing. So to help us get to know you, would you maybe like to share with us a story about your upbringing that has really shaped who you are today?
Yes. So I think I had quite a few moments in my life which were which built the person that I am today. And I would like to start maybe with the most difficult moments, because these are the ones that you actually remember, and these are the ones who will have the biggest impact on how you're going to be able to face the world in the years to come. And I think my military experience, because I started military very young, I was 18 years old. I went to the military academy of Sandhurst, where I did my officer training course. Coming from a Swiss boarding school, it was not completely the same kind of atmosphere. And I have to say, for me, it was very, very challenging to understand and to adapt to this new surrounding. So I started this military academy in the UK, and I think one of the major lessons that I learned is how far your mind can actually outpass your physical condition. So physically, your body will tell you, this is done. I cannot do it anymore, etc. And it's your mental strength then that at that point takes over and gives you the opportunity to go that much further. And it's a lesson that I really took for the rest of my life. So that when my body tells me, okay, now it's time to slow down, I still have reserves. On the other hand, I think what really gets you, what really is a real lesson in life is absolutely your failures, where you had difficulties, and I have to say I was not the most student of people until I understood that learning could actually was something that that I could take for the rest of my life. So it had to be something that I was passionate about. And it's when I really started studying political science, philosophy, history, that I discovered how enriching actually learning could be. And that's something, of course, that today has also shaped me, and which I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity to discover. Afterwards, I would say the third thing that was difficult in my life and at the same time very shaping is, well, the situation I am in right now. So I am a hereditary Grand Duke of Luxembourg, and as such, it was quite a whole process to understand what that actually meant and what it meant for me. And it's when I realized around my 20s that I could actually be in that role with my personality, and that I did not need to grow into a certain role, but that actually the role could be who I really was. That for me was a world opening and a liberation, which was fantastic. And I think it's I may be in a very particular position or situation, but I think it's the same for all of us. At one point, we realize, okay, this is the world I'm in, and I can have my place. I have my place as myself, and I don't need to or play a role or try to get into a role. And there you go. You have three big moments in my life which really helped me become the person I hope I am today and that I'm going to become in the future.
Thank you for sharing that with us. You have such a wide range of interests, like you just mentioned, from history to philosophy to scouting and music. And you mentioned how you were able to find this through a passion for learning. So we would love to know how you feel this interest have really helped you develop into who you are today. And also at the same time, how do you feel young people, like the importance of this to young people to spend their time developing their interests and knowledge and experiences?
I think it's something that takes time. It takes effort. Reading is not, well, one always says, I'm going to read when I have time. No. You need to take time to read. It's the other way around. And I think it's very important. And well, philosophy gave me, of course, an insight into the world that history did not, which political science, on the other hand, gave me in a different way. And I think it's nice to be able to touch on different subjects and different cultures as well. Because, for example, in literature is very rich because you have literature that comes from the whole world. And well, I'm very fond of Russian literature, for example, because I find there's a real depth to it. But of course, it's an insight into a culture, a history, an identity. And I think through reading different authors from different countries, it's the same experience that enriches you immensely to be able to understand also other people, other cultures.
Along the same topic, what is a book you would recommend?
Well, it's not going to be one book, but it's definitely going to be, you have to, I find one has to read one of the Russian authors, be it Solzhenitsyn, be it Pushkin. I don't know, but to get into this Russian literature is quite an experience.
Who is someone that you looked up to as a child?
Well, I have to say that my grandfather was definitely one of these people that is up there, whom I have an enormous respect and admiration for, who has been a very kind grandfather and at the same time a real role model that I look up to. He definitely played a very, very big role in who I am today, and as really a kind of role model. Afterwards, through my life, I had the opportunity to meet quite a few people, and fascinating people who have done great things. And for example, people who thought of new ways to help other people. I'm thinking now on. I'm thinking about Mohammed Yunus. Mohammed Yunus is so he's got the Peace Prize, and he developed this whole economy that is much more human, and which through microcredits, which I know that in Mexico as well, you have quite a few companies which structures that help with microfinance. Microfinance has been a completely new way of thinking about banking, and it's basically giving very, very small loans to individuals, and then help them develop their business with very little means. And it's one of the ways to try and get the world out of poverty. And I found it a fantastic way to combat poverty. And especially this man, Mohammed Yunus, has such a, when he speaks, when he talks, he lightens up, and he's got this power to really make you understand the importance of finding such solutions for the world we live in today.
Yeah, and small loans can really make a difference, especially in developing countries, in the lives of people who are maybe trying to start a small business and just need that small push to help change their lives and the lives of their families. So in the topic of your family, you recently became a father last May, and we welcomed Prince Charles into the family. Can you tell us about this experience? I know that there's a lot of people that were kind of, in the middle of this unprecedented times growing their families. So how was your experience with that?
Well, I have to say that my job usually takes me around the world, and that I have to travel a lot. And due to COVID, which has normally only negative sides, the only positive side was that I stayed at home, and I was there for my wife at first, and then for my child when it was born. And I think he is actually quite happy to see his father day after day after day. And of course, for me, it's an immense, there's no words to say what a father feels like the first time he has a son or a daughter. And for us, for my wife and for myself, it was an absolute joy, and to be able to spend that much time with our little Charlie is just it's something that no one can ever take me away. It can take away from me, which is fantastic.
That's wonderful. So we know you have been involved in a lot of different initiatives. What is one of the most rewarding initiatives that you have been involved in to date?
So I think there are many initiatives which are of great importance nowadays, and the one that I've done with my wife together is that we try to really put craft at its right place, because craftspeople have been looked down upon a little bit in our societies, and it has not craft has not had its right place in the media, etc. So what my wife and I did was create an exhibition that we do every 2 years, and which we take also outside of Luxembourg now, where less young talents in the craft business can really show their talent, show their pieces, and it's also for us a way to export Luxembourgish history, Luxembourgish culture, Luxembourgish identity, because this is all these things that you find in the magnificent glass work, in the magnificent woodwork. I think it's a combination of the know-how that was forged in one's country, and that was forged also through the influence of all the different actors that make Luxembourg what it is today. So this is one of the initiatives which I'm very proud of. The other one is, I can speak for hours, you have to be careful, but it's definitely, it's definitely to be involved with people with a handicap, because it's also a way to show to society that everyone is part of that society, and these are the people that might be a little bit put on the outskirts of a society, that could be put on the outskirts of a society if they don't have access, if they don't find, or if they're not perceived or seen as worthy citizens, and that's where through Special Olympics, through so many different activities, things that we organize for them, good homes, good ways for them to be able to find a working place. I think it's you can see how society evolves and finds the right place for these people. And this is also something that I'm very proud of, and that I will continue to do with all my passion and with all my energy.
That's fantastic. And I think that we're all really grateful for people like you who push diversity in all its forms. I think that diversity brings a wealth of backgrounds and opportunities, and people are able to really push forward ideas through the communication of different people from different backgrounds. Now,
there's one I did not talk about, because I think it's obvious, and we're going to talk about it quite a bit, but it's scouting, of course, and that's what young people, to motivate young people to become scouts, to become engaged in so many ways in society, to make our society a better place. Is, of course, the world is well, we have so many different opportunities to try and get youngsters motivated, and they are. I have to say, they are.
Yeah, and your family has a long history of tradition in the Scout movement in Luxembourg. Maybe would you be able to share a little bit of that history and how Scouting has been part of your family for a number of generations?
So Scouting has, in Luxembourg, has a very, very important place in our communities. It always has had. The reason I cannot say why it took such an important place, but it played a major role and a very critical role also during World War II. During World War II, the Scouts were one of the major resistance against Nazi Germany, and that's how they got this reputation of being really in service of their country, in service of our community, and where right after the Second World War, the Scouts had made such an incredible name for themselves that straight away my grandfather said, we need to continue to develop and to widen the scouting movement in Luxembourg, because it's such a fantastic school for all our youngsters to understand what it means to be a respectful and a full citizen. And so my grandfather became straight away or was asked to become the chief scout of Luxembourg, which he stayed until he was 98. So that's the one thing that he kept until he died when he was 98, and which I have the immense honor of having taken over a few years ago, and very proud, of course, to be first this chief scout of Luxembourg, but also to be able to live this experience with all these youngsters who are extremely motivated, and even more so now during the pandemic, where they played a very crucial role also in Luxembourg, helping elder people finding the adequate food and other medication, etc. So many different ways where really scouts got involved. And actually, the Luxembourgish Scouts got an important award, which I'm extremely proud of, international award for the way they really got involved during the pandemic.
Tell us more about that.
Well, there were quite a few initiatives in Luxembourg that were launched by our federation, and because we have two major scout groups who form together who formed together the scouting in Luxembourg. And scouting in Luxembourg has straight away decided that inactivity was not going to be the answer, and that with this pandemic there was a huge opportunity to find ways where they could be helpful. And I think that's exactly the way scouts have to think, and that's exactly the way scouts think. And so the first reaction was to go on the streets, to go to the elderly people who could not leave the house, and who needed really the basics. And so all these youngsters went to the supermarkets, etc., took the risk of getting COVID, and but just to be helpful and prevent the elderly to get it. Then in the second stage, they started sewing masks, and I find it fantastic. So every the youngest scouts, the youngest beaver, or the names vary from country to country, they could sew masks for people outside, and all these masks were distributed. There were thousands of masks which were distributed, and these are just a few examples. I mean, every different troop found another way of really engaging themselves to fight in their way this pandemic, and I have to say it was not only perceived as a very positive thing here in Luxembourg. I think it also went cross-border, and we definitely showed that scouting has its crucial importance in our society today.
Yeah, it really never ceases to amaze me, all the wonderful projects that are led by young people in scouting from all around the world. We have some initiatives that actually we will talk about at the end of this session, that's where everyone can help support those projects. So now, moving on to the topic of your country and service to one's country. Although I have never had the pleasure of visiting Luxembourg myself, I know that it has one of the highest GDPs per capita and is one of the world's best performers on environmental protection, and also that the great majority of the population is multilingual, since it has 3 official languages. And this is just to mention a few of the great things about Luxembourg. Whenever I introduce myself, I love saying that I am the proudest Mexican that you'll ever meet, because I love talking about all the beautiful things that my country has to offer. So Your Royal Highness, tell us about Luxembourg.
Well, I like to say that I'm the proudest Luxembourger as well. Everywhere I go, that's for sure. And I have to say, Luxembourg is. But you said many very true and very important things. We are a very wealthy country. I have to say that's something we are very proud of. We developed through the steel industry at the beginning of the 20th century up to now through finance, etc. So we developed very well. We managed to really create a business environment which is extremely good and flourishing today as well. But at the same time, I think that we cannot do it without all the people that came to work in Luxembourg. And you said it, we are a trilingual society. And we are a trilingual society because we're surrounded by France, Germany, and Belgium. These three countries are not only our bordering countries, they are partners. And you have hundreds of thousands of people who come every day, they commute every day from these countries to work in Luxembourg. So they bring with them diversity, they bring with them different languages, they bring with them different cuisines, they bring with them a know-how. And I think that's what's really, Luxembourg is a melting pot of so many different cultures, nationalities, and it truly is one of our strengths, and the strength that I hope we will always be able to keep in the future, because I find it so enriching. So this is something that fascinates me with Luxembourg. On the other hand, and that's something that very few people know, so what everyone knows is that Luxembourg is not the largest of countries, but what people don't know is that we have a different landscape in the north than in the south, than in the east, than in the west. And every landscape is, well, I find it absolutely beautiful, because you have the Mosel River in the east, with the wineries which create a beautiful landscape. In the north, you have a much more hilly kind of landscape with big forests. In the south, you have the vestige of the old iron industry. So it's an irony soil, very reddish, which is very nice as well. So every single part of Luxembourg has a different charm, and that's what I found absolutely incredible in such a small country, to be able to just drive 1 hour and you are already in a completely different kind of setting surrounding.
That sounds wonderful. Could you please tell us more about your role as hereditary Grand Duke and that of the ducal family in Luxembourg?
Yes, so we are a constitutional monarchy, like most monarchies in the world today. So as such, the head of state is the Grand Duke. He is the head of the executive, but of course the power resides in Parliament and in the government, which are democratically elected. So I think that's a little bit the same system that you have everywhere. But as such, the Grand Duke has really this symbolic also role of federating, of being of having an aura where people recognize in him an identity. It's also the Grand Duke is often the person that represents Luxembourg outside of its borders, so the face of Luxembourg. And I think it's very, since I have the chance of being in a family who played a very important role also during the wars, and played a very positive role during the wars. My grandfather landed a few days after D-Day with the British troops to liberate a part of France, and then liberated Luxembourg, went into Germany. So he really he played an active role and was recognized as such in his own country. And my great-grandmother, so mother of my grandmother, of my grandfather, was really the symbol of the independence of the country, because in a country where we were already occupied by Nazi Germany, it was difficult to make the international community understand that Luxembourg was a country, an independent country. And she did this. She did this in the UK. She then went to the US and did a whole tour in the US to try and make the American citizen understand the importance of entering this war on the sides of the Allies. And this, of course, made her also gave her this aura that she still has today in my country. So this is to explain a little bit maybe the very special place that my family has in the hearts of the Luxembourgish people, and for me in my role, well, I inherit, of course, this beautiful tradition and this aura that my family has. And as hereditary Grand Duke, well, I try to be very active, of course, here in the country, but also be a little bit a face outside of the country, where I take the Luxembourgish business community to discover new markets, open doors, be it in Mexico, where I've been quite a few times, or be it everywhere. Goes from China, Russia to Latin America. I think we've done all the continents. So we've been in many different places, and this is, of course, something that I love to do, and which with this pandemic has stopped a little bit, but which maybe one day will start again.
That sounds like a wonderful opportunity to be able to experience so many different cultures. Now, I want to know, what are your hopes for the future of Luxembourg, and how do you believe young people can help you achieve this future?
Well, you spoke about being conscious of the environment, and that's something that I see our youth here in Luxembourg, and not only in Luxembourg, but also in Luxembourg, are very sensitive of. And I believe that's it's key. It's going to be key in the future to be able to for youngsters to understand that to create a fair, a good society, we need to be conscious of our environment, and not only of our environment, but also of our fellow citizens. And that's where I see also in this pandemic that people have realized that to be solitary, to be alone, to be is something that can be of great suffering. And so the way to try and see how one can really contribute or open up to the society and find ways to contribute to the well-being of that society is key. And I do hope that through this pandemic, and also that the youngsters will continue to develop these skills of being really ready, being in French you say disponible, to have the time, to take the time to really get involved in some way for the society is going to make our societies much better.
Yeah, transitioning into the duty to the world. During the summer of '97, you participated as a member of Luxembourg Scout movement in a humanitarian camp in Nepal. You were involved in a reforestation project and other actions for the benefit of less favored communities. Could you tell us more about this experience?
Yes, so like you said, we have the chance of being a very wealthy country. We have the highest GDP per capita in the world, and we are one of the countries which puts in most of the percentage of our GDP into humanitarian help around the world. And Nepal has always been one of our partner countries, a very poor country like you know. And I had the opportunity, the great chance of when I was 16 years old, to go there with my fellow scouts. And we were there for about a month, helping out, planting trees, finding ways to help children in their education, but also in their free time. That was the fun part to create a playground for all the children of the village we were in. That was a lot of fun. But besides that, we also taught them a little bit of English, a little bit of math, and of course, well, I think our major job was combat deforestation, so planting trees, which was a great thing to do. And for us, it was also a great opportunity to understand how fortunate we are in our country and how outside of our borders, sometimes it's very necessary to take a glance of what's going on and realize that with a little help, the impact can be tremendous.
Yeah, I think something we have learned throughout this pandemic is that we are stronger when we work together amongst international borders as well. So perhaps complementary to your national role as part of the Ducal family, with Scouting as a global service organization and youth movement, what are benefits to one's character and citizenship that you have seen young people develop through an organization like Scouting?
Well, leadership, definitely, because and that's a great quality, a quality to be able to take initiatives. I think we sometimes we have the feeling that we live in a world where we don't need to take initiative because we have structures around us that take initiatives for us. Well, that's not really what is asked of us. And on the contrary, there are always initiatives that you can take, and it's important to take them. And I think that's a great lesson that Scouting gives us, is that we go on the terrain and we find ways to help in the best way possible. And then we have to be creative. You have to be creative, and you have to be there. You have to take the time and have the willpower to say, okay, now that's the direction I want to go, and that's where I'm going to. That's where I'm going to help.
Yes, I believe that you don't have to wait to be older to try to make a difference in the world, and you don't have to think about changing the world as in this huge thing, because when you are helping one person, even in that daily good deed, you are already changing the world for them, and that's already making a difference. So in 2005, you participated in the Millennium Conference for the United Nations in New York City. And I would love to hear more about this experience and how it was for you to also meet Kofi Annan.
Well, I have to say that was quite an experience to meet Mr. Annan. Had such an aura as well, and what fascinated me with him is that he had a very special way to greet every single person. He did not make a difference between prime ministers that he knew from many years to this young boy that all of a sudden comes, and honestly he had no idea what this young boy was doing here, because during the Millennium Conference, that's quite a few years back, so I was still very, very young at that moment. And I remember he greeted me in a very kind way, and I had a very interesting discussion with him, and he explained many facets of what it meant, what the United Nations, what their goal were, what their challenges were. And I think that's also a little bit, that was the aim of my visits during that conference, is discovering, okay, what are the challenges of the world today? And I got the perspective of so many different countries, which was, of course, extremely enriching, and I have to say it was quite overwhelming, definitely, very impressive, but a memory that I will keep for the rest of my life.
I understand that you are a patron to many organizations like the Luxembourg Cycling Sports Federation and the Chamber Orchestra of Luxembourg, as well as Young Entrepreneurs of Luxembourg, and as you mentioned before, the Special Olympics of Luxembourg, just to name a few. So I want to know, what drives your motivation to give back?
Well, I think it's it's a motivation that we all have. We want to get involved in things that are dear to us. And like you said, sports is something that is dear to me. I love sports, and especially I love when I see my fellow countrymen win or compete. I go to the Olympic Games on a very regular basis. I'm there to cheer them up, and it gives me great joy. I think it's through sports. Sports is a perfect way also for cultures, countries to get to know each other in a very good and sporty spirit. So it's something that we have to promote. It's something that we have to be. We have to. Yes, we have to promote also in our own countries. On the other hand, all the other involvements that you've named, I think everyone will have sensitivities, particular sensitivities for certain causes and maybe less for others. I think everyone needs to find the cause where he finds himself the most called to help. And then I have this great opportunity to be able to touch on many different things. But I mean, everyone has an opportunity to at least find one segment or two different ways to really, like I said before, helping more people with handicaps, helping people who don't have the same means or who live in poverty. Helping people or motivating scouts, motivating young people, because I love motivating our young entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship in Luxembourg is also one of the ways to develop leadership skills, to develop a way to try and help society develop in a good way. And these young people need also sometimes a little motivation, and I'm always happy to give it.
Throughout this conversation, we have heard about your many interests, and as you recently mentioned, you have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different organizations in a lot of different areas where you have been able to support them. So I want to ask you, what is a cause that you feel particularly passionate about?
So another cause than the one I already spoke about a little bit. Or?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I have this special bond with youth, because I find youth will shape the world of tomorrow, and I'm extremely, I have to say, I am admirative. I am proud of the youth that I meet, because I have a feeling, maybe I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that more and more youngsters are ready to get involved and who are ready to give up some time to do something that they believe in, that do something that has an impact. And so every time I have the opportunity to patron or to get involved in an organization, when I see that these young people, be it the young scientists, for example, I have also the presidency of the young scientists. I love it because they will give up their time to really develop or think new ways to help science, which is great. And then there's a competition, and people get very competitive, and I'm always very proud to be able to greet them or listen to what they've developed, and it's a fantastic way to really get also in contact with it. So to see so many youngsters involved through different ways or different structures, different foundations, different organizations is for me a great joy, and I think I'm always ready to respond when someone asks me to get involved with one of these things.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everything that you've shared with us today. We are all very lucky to be able to hear from you directly and to be inspired by all of your great achievements and all of your great acts of service towards all these fantastic causes.
Thank you.
So I want to leave the opportunity for the audience to ask you some questions. And for that, I'll give the word to Alex to monitor and moderate this conversation.
Great. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness and Christy, for what has been such an interesting discussion with so many great points that I think our group can benefit from. So this is now the part of today's meeting where the Young Baden-Powell Fellows present have the chance to ask some follow-up questions on the points we've heard about. So for those of you that might be interested in participating, please raise your hand using the Zoom option or indicate that you'd like to do so through the chat now. And when it's your turn, please be brief in your questions so we can take as many questions as possible within our available time. And I did note in the chat that Leo had indicated he has a question to ask. So Leo, I'm going to ask you to unmute and if you could ask your question.
Buenas tardes, Su Alteza Real. I have two quick questions. The first one is a little bit of a light humor question. Whenever you go camping with your Cub Scouts, with your Beaver Scouts, with your Young Scouts, do they call you Your Royal Highness, or do they actually go by a nickname or something?
They call me Chief Scout.
All right.
When I'm with scouting, my name is Chief Scout.
All right. The second one is Luxembourg has been a very important country within the European Union. It is one of the founders of the EU. It has always been very forward with the development, with introducing new countries into the EU, with helping new economies grow, etc., etc., etc. What are the plans of the Scouting Association of Luxembourg to help the associations like from Albania, from Moldova, all those associations that are in the process of wanting to become full WASM members? Is there any plans from Luxembourg to support them fully?
So that's there. Honestly, I have to say that I don't know if there's a plan to support them in a special way. What I know is that, for example, on the terrain in these in different countries, we try to focus on 2-3 different countries where we go quite full on, so to say. Where we go also financially, we help. Nepal, like I said, is one of them, but we do not. We don't try to. We don't disperse into too many different places because we're not that many. So I mean, to have a good amount of scouts in one place where you can have a good impacts, you need to choose 2 or 3 different locations, which we have done with Mali and Nepal, for example, which are two of the 3.
Muchas gracias, Su Alteza. A sus órdenes.
Thank you very much, Leo. Does anyone else have any questions? Please feel free to raise your hand or indicate so in the chat. We'll give just a moment if you're still typing in or you'd like to find the function in Zoom to raise your hand. You have the opportunity to ask a question if you'd like. All right, I think we might have one question. We had one question submitted through the chat regarding your role with the World Scout Foundation board and what your plans are, I guess, as a new member of the World Scout Foundation board, or any particular initiatives or plans that you feel you'd like to support directly or have a particular interest in?
Well, I mean, the foundation gives us a fantastic platform to really promote scouting. And I think that's going to be our main aim. That's what I want to do through the foundation. That's what I'm also doing through our national scouts team or federation, and I think that's it's the aim of all of us. It's we of course scouting or World Scouting also needs funding, and that's where we also come in as sponsors. But on the other hand, it's also getting the right messages across to do a positive promotion of scouting.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you to the members present today for your questions and for joining us. And we've clearly all gained a wealth of insight and inspiration, I think, from today's discussion, or I certainly have. So I want to thank His Royal Highness again for taking the time to speak with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you, Christy, for leading us today, and to each of the Young Baden-Powell Fellows in attendance. We hope you've really enjoyed today's discussion and that you'll consider joining us again in about 3 months' time. So keep an eye out for the emails promoting that upcoming event, including the details of our next speaker. We'd also like to quickly share some information about the other exciting programs that you can participate in as a Young Baden-Powell Fellow. At the moment, we're in the early stages of our Giving Circle activity. This is a chance for committed Young Baden-Powell Fellows to come together as a group, learn from experts about their priorities in terms of global development, and then select and fund a Scout-led project as a group that makes a real impact in the priority area of their choice. So I'm going to share very quickly, actually, if you are interested in that initiative, the link in the chat. So feel free to visit that. Oops, I need to send that to everyone. There we go. Right, so they'll make an impact through a Scout project, and it isn't too late if you're interested in joining us. So if you are, please visit that link and complete our expression of interest form. We're also currently piloting a mentorship program that we hope to fully launch this coming September. So if you aren't already involved in that and it sounds interesting to you, then please stay tuned for updates. And we also hope that you've received the news about our virtual investor seminar on June 4th. We'd love to see you online there, and we're very excited to see each other again face-to-face in April 2022 at the next planned investor seminar in Dublin, Ireland. Thank you once again for logging in today, and we hope that you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.